Beryl was an ordinary man who lived a peaceful life, teaching the sword. However, when he picked up his new job as a knight instructor, he reveals his true strength, unaware this would rizz up all his former students. It all starts when Beryl is eating lunch with his parents while they roast him for being a midlife crisis virgin and tell him to pick a struggle. Just then, a hot chick knocks on his door, and he is shocked to see that she's Alicia, his former student at the dojo. He brings her in for tea, but she suddenly offers him a job as a special instructor of the knights. Beryl is hesitant to accept it, so Alicia warns that they might get in trouble if he backs out because it has already been approved by the authorities. Hearing this, Beryl's father insists he take the job so he can touch grass and some juicy melons, and even recommends Alicia as his potential wife. Beryl tells the old fart he's offending Alicia, but in reality, Alicia starts blushing and whispers that she always wanted to play with his sword. With no other choice, Beryl agrees to go with her to the capital, and on the way, he sees that she is using the same sword she got from him years ago as proof of graduation. However, when he insists he doesn't have the skill for this job, Alicia reveals he's well known in the capital because he trained so many of them. Later, they arrive at the capital, and Alicia tells the knight order that Beryl is so strong that not even she can beat him. Just then, a girl Naruto runs towards him, and he recognizes her as another former student named Karuni. She eagerly tells him that she has also become a knight and is looking forward to getting more training from him, which makes Beryl proud because she worked really hard at the dojo. That night, he returns home happy that two of his students made it big in life, only to learn that Randrid, another student of his, has moved into the village because he now has a family. Since he has quit adventuring, Beryl's father suggests they let Randrid run the dojo so Beryl doesn't have to come back every day and can focus on training the knights. Despite not being happy about it, Beryl goes along because he knows this is the old man's plan to get him laid. The next day, he meets Alicia, and they look for a place where he can stay. She quietly says she wouldn't mind him staying over at her place, but he refuses, which ruins her plans to play with his sword. She then suggests they stop to eat and tries to convince herself that she is on a date, but just then, a redhead with juicy milk packs calls her out for chilling with a sugar daddy. She continues arguing with Alicia, but when she looks at Beryl, she is shocked and asks if he remembers her. Beryl recalls that she is Sharina, a former student whom she found unconscious by the river, and now she is wearing a top-ranked adventurer's badge. Sharina apologizes for her behavior and tells him she's become successful because of his training, and Beryl is happy to see another one of his students make it in life. Following that, both Alicia and Sharina start arguing over who gets to practice their strokes with Beryl first, and by the evening, they work together to find him a decent apartment. The next day, Alicia takes him to the training halls for his first lecture, but the arrogant vice commander named Henblitz challenges him to a duel to test his strength. Beryl reluctantly agrees to spar, and when Henblitz quickly charges at him, Beryl goes on the defensive to test his skills. Occasionally, he makes a parry and strikes him lightly, but this only makes Henblitz go even harder. Frustrated, Henblitz decides to go for his flashy signature move, but Beryl counters it simply by ducking.
That's why he's the GOAT!
Leaving everyone in shock. After the duel ends, Henblitz immediately switches gears and turns into his fanboy, even treating him to a fine meal as an apology for his rude behavior. Back in his village, Randrid tells the old man that he has been all over the world, but he has never seen a better swordsman than Beryl. Days later, while two knights are practicing like noobs, Beryl shows them how to fight by maintaining distance. Just then, he realizes that everyone has stopped practicing to listen to his advice, which makes him feel valued. Later, he reflects that ever since he beat Henblitz in a duel, all the knights have developed massive respect for him. Just then, Karuni comes running in and asks if he has plans, and when he says he's free, she offers to show him around the capital in the hope that he'll show her to his bedroom. After she leaves to get changed, Beryl realizes that he's grown to like his new life in the capital. Meanwhile, Alicia walks through the hallway, admitting that by becoming the commander, she has wasted precious time she could have spent practicing more. However, she also couldn't let Beryl stay there forever, so she had to become the commander. She recalls the first time her parents took her to the dojo, and back then, she was a shy girl who immediately took a liking to his kind face. As she started practicing, Beryl would fix her form and explain things very carefully when it came to swords. He made her do parkour drills to improve her agility, heavy tasks so she could develop strength, and basic sword strokes to improve her form. For 2 whole years, she did these drills on a daily basis, but it was never boring because she learned something new each day. Over time, she felt faster and stronger because of it, and that even translated to how she swung her sword. But the best part of it all was the praise she received from Beryl after a successful day. Then, one day after Beryl was done with Randred, he asked Alucia to practice with him one-on-one for the very first time. As they stood face to face, Alucia did not know what to do because Beryl had no weakness in his stance. She went in guns blazing but was defeated in seconds, which made her respect him even more. Even then, Beryl praised her for her efforts, though she felt like she was not doing enough. Then, one day, Beryl arranged to practice with another dojo, and when Alucia faced her opponent, she could easily spot all the openings in his stance. As the guy rushed in, she easily dodged his attack and struck back, making her realize that all that training made her really strong without her realizing it. On their way back, Alucia believed their dojo was overpowered because they won every single duel, but Beryl humbly claimed they got lucky because their fighting styles aligned well. He also instructed Alucia to never count wins or losses and only focus on what she learned by fighting someone with a different style. Just then, Alucia realized she had forgotten her hairpin at the dojo and ran back to retrieve it, only to be met with the students she had beaten earlier. They start giving a shady vibe and suggest she plays with their other swords too, but she refuses, which hurts their fragile ego. They decide to beat her up for defeating them earlier, but Beryl returned and took the hit for her. He told them not to use their skills for evil, but when they tried attacking him, he beat them up with his bare hands, much to everyone's shock. Soon after, the dojo master arrived and scolded his students for causing a commotion. He even told them that Beryl alone can take on 100 idiots like them without sweating, and all of his students are better than they are. Beryl told the master that it's no big deal, but the master knelt out of sheer respect and apologized for his students' misconduct. As they walk back, Alucia is worried because Beryl did take a hit for her, but he says it's nothing serious. Not convinced, she stopped walking and blamed herself for the whole thing, only for Beryl to tell her she did nothing wrong. Instead, he blames himself for not accompanying her and putting her in danger, and his kind words make Alucia cry. Not realizing that she was overwhelmed with emotions, Beryl goofily apologized and promised to treat her to lunch later. Then a few months later, Alucia came face to face with Beryl, and this time, she managed to parry his attack, much to her own shock. As a result, he gave her the black sword that symbolized her graduation from the dojo, and even though she didn't want to leave, she respected his wishes. To prove that Beryl was the best, she took entrance exams to join the knightly order, and as expected, she was miles ahead of everyone. She easily passed with the highest score, and admitted it would never have been possible without Beryl. Soon after, she became the commander of the knights, and that's when she decided that she would pull Beryl out of that dojo so he could expand his knowledge even further. She understands that she might have made him do something he did not want, but she wanted to be the one who provided him for a stage that deserved his skills. At present, she learns from Henblitz that Karuni is showing the master around the capital, and she gets a little sad because she wanted to be the one to do it. Meanwhile, Beryl is at the market with Karuni when a goth mommy sees him and approaches to say hi. When Beryl fails to recognize her, she pretends to cry, but even that doesn't jog his memory. She then points at the sword she's carrying, and he finally recalls that she's Feis, a former student who completed all the training in his dojo. He also remembers that Feis and Karuni trained together for 2 years, and Karuni tells him that Feis has become the star of the Magic Corp. Feis then says she came here to buy magical accessories and picks a ring that lets her create fire. However, Feis is so good that she doesn't even need the rings, and Beryl is shocked because he has never seen magic before. He feels a little sad that Feis became a wizard instead of a swordsman, but even then, he is happy for her. Just then, they notice a burglar running away with a woman's purse, and Feis immediately pulls out her sword, enchanting it with magic. She then restrains the burglar with magical ropes, and Karuni quickly runs in to apprehend the guy. Beryl is impressed by their teamwork, and Feis tells him she uses her sword skills to support her magic, making him realize she did not waste all that training. The next day, he goes on an early walk when he runs into a 4-foot baddie with a temper of Mount Fuji. She proudly introduces herself as Lucy, the commander of the Magic Corps. Beryl thinks she's a young idiot role-playing and tells her to go to her mama, so Lucy gets frustrated and creates a big ball of flame to prove her point. She then invites her on a walk and says she's friends with Feis, who told her master was in town. She then guides him to an open arena, saying she has been practicing day and night and wants to test her skills. Before Beryl can respond, she quickly attacks him with fireballs, and he barely dodges. He then realizes she is not fooling around and pulls out his sword to fight her. Lucy is amused to see him eager to fight her, but Beryl says he just has to protect himself. Lucy asks if she is not strong enough for him to go on the offensive, and Beryl responds that he's the weaker one between them. Lucy then creates a big ball of fire and sends it towards him, but Beryl moves out of the way. She then overwhelms him with rapid-fire attacks before shifting her magic to ice and throwing giant ice cubes at him. Beryl slices them in half using his sword and then rushes her down, thinking that he must knock her out using the flat end of his sword. However, as he closes in on her, she suddenly wraps herself in fire, which pushes him back. She then starts a meteor shower right on top of Beryl, and the man runs as fast as he can to dodge the incoming projectiles. Seeing him struggle, Lucy asks if he's ever been with a wizard before, and he says he's only ever been with his right hand. She then drops a giant ball of ice on top of him, and he deflects it towards him. He then lunges forward to catch her by surprise, but Lucy summons Thor's lightning to push him back. She then says she's disappointed and would finish this fight with her special skill. Just then, Beryl senses a deadly aura coming from her, and it's so strong that it bends space around her. As he braces for impact, Lucy suddenly changes her mind and says she won't waste such a powerful move on someone so weak. After roasting him, she does admit that he survived far longer than she expected, and he would have become minced meat if any of her attacks had landed. As the tension settles down, Lucy notes that he is rather kind, but when he politely tells her that she's a pain in his cakes, she bursts out laughing. She then invites him to the Magic Academy and offers to make it up to him, and Beryl says yes in hopes of getting a sloppy toppy.
Whoa, calm down, Jamal.
The next day after training, he runs into Feist, who says she came here to drop off some magic potions. Beryl says he only ever used herbal potions, so Feist gives him one of the potions as an apology for what happened between him and Lucy. Beryl then asks Feist how Lucy became the commander so young, and Feist reveals she's as old as dust, and uses magic to make herself look bussin'. He then accepts the potion and admits that he was scared for his life, because Lucy kept spamming fire and ice magic on him. Feist reveals Lucy is a special case in the world of mages because ordinary wizards can't cast rapidly. Just then, Alucia comes looking for Beryl, so Feist decides to leave with the potions. Later, Alucia takes Beryl to Sharina, who asks for his help in training new adventurers. She even produces an official document from the guild, explaining that he has to prepare the newer adventurers to handle themselves in case of an emergency. Beryl recalls his own youthful days when he wanted to become an adventurer, and went into a cave to loot monsters. But the only thing he returned with was a face only a mother could love. He worries about the dangers of being an adventurer, but Sharina assures him it's a walk in the park for someone like him. Although he is reluctant, the girls politely tell him that he isn't forced to accept this job, but it would be good if he at least heard the guildmaster's proposal. Sharina then takes him to the guildmaster's office, where he sees Lucy chilling like she owns the place. She says she came here to see him because she is a good friend of the guildmaster. Afterward, Beryl is introduced to the old man Nidus and his assistant Majin, and Majin immediately questions his lack of experience as an adventurer. He says that even though a top-ranked adventurer and the commander have vouched for him, it is still not wise for him to accept this role, since Beryl doesn't want this job anyway. He listens quietly as Sharina gets upset because this is disrespectful to her master. When Nidus asks Majin what his solution is, he proposes that Beryl duel Sharina as a test of his skills, and he reluctantly accepts. Soon after, they head outside for the spar, and people gather to see Sharina's twin cannons in action. Sharina recalls when she was riding a carriage with her parents when they were suddenly attacked by a beast. Desperate to save her, Sharina's mother threw her out of the carriage, but she fell into the river below. When she regained consciousness, she saw Beryl in front of her and passed out in his arms. Beryl immediately took her home and treated her, but when he asked her where her parents are, she started twitching. He realized she must have lost them, so he talked to his parents, and they all agreed to let her stay here. For a few days, she stayed distant from everyone until one day she saw Beryl practicing outside. He noticed her watching and suggested she try it too, as it would help distract her mind. For the first time since the incident, she felt happy and worked hard for months to get good. Eventually, she was accepted into the dojo, which made her extremely ecstatic. Soon after, a family decided to adopt Sharina, and although heartbroken, she thanked Beryl for everything he did for her sake. She cried her eyes out on the carriage because she wanted to stay there forever, but it would have been too selfish for her to ask that. Years later, when she was a gold-ranked adventurer, she was ambushed by bandits, but she didn't even stop to listen to their threats and took them out instantly. She declared she became an adventurer because she wanted to make sure others didn't go through the same thing she did. At present, she is a proud adventurer and wants to show her master what she has become thanks to his training. As the battle begins, Sharina aggressively charges him and overwhelms him with his speed. And when Beryl matches her skills, it puts a big smile on her face. Beryl watches carefully and spots a weak spot in her stance, so he immediately strikes her hand and disarms her before sweeping under her legs and making her fall. Despite losing, she is thrilled to have shared the stage with Beryl and thanks him for the opportunity. Beryl says if he hadn't found a weak spot, he wouldn't have lasted 10 seconds with her, and he's not talking about the battle. Soon after, Majin apologized to Beryl for doubting his skills, but he said it's okay because he was right to doubt a middle-aged man with no experience whatsoever. With that, he reluctantly takes the job and later meets 3 adventurers, Porta, Nidri, and Sarli. They head to the dungeon, and the adventurers clear the first few levels with ease, but Sharina suspects something is off because the monsters are fewer in number today. As the head of the deepest part of the dungeon, Porta is suddenly attacked by a xenobird and is gravely injured. Sharina connects the dots that this bird must have unalived most of the monsters and asks Beryl to prepare for a big fight. Before it begins, Beryl asks Sharina if she has magic potions, and she says she has 2. Beryl then suggests she take the monster while he helps Porta, but when he tells her the plan, she mishears him and leaves to help Porta, leaving Beryl to fight the monster. With no other choice, Beryl begins clashing with the monster and finds an opening to strike its leg, only to learn that its legs are rock solid. Backing up, he sees Sharina carrying Porta out of there and realizes he needs to buy more time. The monster quickly lunges and gets him good on his arm before sending a speeding fireball at him. After barely dodging it, Beryl tries to poke its face, but the xenobird swings at him with its tail. Beryl ends up slicing through the tail, causing the bird to become angry. It then runs into Beryl and rams through the forest, but Beryl keeps his cool and somehow manages to ride its back. Enraged, the bird flies into the air at high speeds to shake him off, but when he refuses to let go, it lands on the ground, allowing Beryl to step off safely. Afterward, it lets out a loud scream and turns the ground underneath its feet into a pit of lava. As the lava leaks into the cave, the adventurers find themselves in a peculiar spot, while Beryl stands atop a rock to avoid it. He then decides to ball with it and attacks the bird through molten rocks, even managing to stab it in the eye. Just then, Sharina returns and dives straight into the bird, striking it with her twin swords and ending the battle in an instant. She then notices that Beryl's sword is still stuck inside its eye and apologizes for it. Beryl is more interested in Porta's health, and she says he will be fine. The other 2 adventurers show up carrying Porta and are relieved to see them all okay. Afterward, they return to the guild, where Nidus and Majin are shocked to learn that they took down a named monster. Sharina gives all the credit to Beryl because he acted quickly and borrowed them precious time, even though she was the one who landed the final blow. Nidus is so impressed that he offers Beryl a high adventurer's rank, but Beryl immediately refuses. As they step outside, Sharina bows down and apologizes to Beryl, admitting that she had sung high praises for him, which is the reason they were led to a life-threatening situation. Despite that, she feels honored that she was able to join him in such a serious battle. Beryl says he should be thanking her because she made all the right decisions and acted quickly. He smiles and says he is proud of the person she has become, which makes her blush and stutter. It takes her back to all those years when they trained together, and for a moment, she wishes she could go back in time and relive it all. The next day, Beryl is in need of a new sword, so Karini agrees to take her to a blacksmith because she is free all day. Alusha also joins them, even though she has a lot of work. She says choosing a sword for her master is the most important matter, which is why she must tag along. In reality, she is jealous because Serena took over while they were looking for an apartment, and Karini already had her share when she showed him around the capital. So this time, she wants to be of use to him so he can give her backshots later. Beryl then asks Karini about the shop where she's taking him, but he says he will have to see once they get there. Once they reach there, a buffed-up gym bro greets Karini, and Beryl realizes he's heard this voice before. He recognizes the man as Balder and is shocked to see that he's turned his love for weapons into a business. Alusha asks him how he knows Balder, and Beryl reveals that Balder is also one of his students. He further reveals that out of all of his students, Balder was the only one who was older than him. He joined the dojo so he could get a feel of how to use swords and make better ones. After the pleasantries, he asks them what they need, and Karini says she needs to get her short sword sharpened. After inspecting the weapon, he tells her she should get a new one because this one is damaged beyond repair. They wonder how she damaged it so much, so Beryl asks how the sword feels in her hands. She says it feels light and nice to hold, and they tell her that is the problem because if you can't even feel the weight of your weapon, then that's not the right one for you. In that case, Beryl suggests she wields a two-handed Zweihander, and once she holds it, she immediately grows a liking to it. With that done, Beryl begins looking for his own sword. But just then, Sharina enters the story with a bag on her back. She immediately gets into a heated exchange with Alusha, So Beryl steps in and breaks the argument by asking why she's here. Sharina then reveals the object, which is Zeno's amputated leg, and she asks Balder if he can make a long sword out of it. Shocked at first, Balder asks why she wants a long sword when she uses twin blades, and Sharina says it's not for her, but rather for Beryl. Alucia feels jealous and says only the knightly order should provide him with a sword, but Sharina begs him to accept it as a token of gratitude. After some thinking, he agrees to take the sword, which makes Alucia sad and Balder really excited because he can't wait to work. Afterwards, Karuni suddenly starts giggling because he wants to ask him for a private training session. At the training hall, he tells her that Zweihander is usually swung from side to side and demonstrates how to do it. He also shows her the lower part of the blade, which is kept dull so the wielder can hold it for easier swings. When she swings the sword, she feels herself going out of balance, so Beryl advises her to use her hips rather than her arms. Following his advice, she immediately gets the hang of it, and seeing her in this state reminds him of the time he trained her at the dojo. That night, he visits the tavern to get high, and on his way back, he catches a young girl, Miui, trying to pickpocket him. Suddenly, the girl causes a huge fiery explosion and uses it as cover to escape, making him realize she's a mage. The girl then returns to a house where some men are playing cards and hands them today's picking. They complain to her that she's not making enough, but their boss tells them it's fine because he won't let her go until she's paid her dues. Later, while Karuni is practicing with her new sword, Helmblitz challenges Beryl to another duel, and although he's improved a lot since their first one, he still loses. After the battle, their focus shifts to Karuni, and Helmblitz notes that it's good for her to become stronger because they are short on time. When Beryl asks why, he mentions that a group of thieves named the Dark Hand of Twilight has been secretly working in the capital, so the Knight Order is investigating the case alongside the Royal Guard. They will eventually fight the Dark Hand, so they should become strong before that time comes. Helmblitz also asks him not to worry about the criminals, as his job is only to teach them, and Beryl is relieved because he has never gone after criminals before. Just then, he pulls out a necklace from his pocket, but before he can even say anything, Helmblitz and Karuni assume he's trying to riz someone up and start giving him advice on how to get laid. He then explains that he caught a pickpocket last night who had gotten away after causing an explosion, but when the smoke cleared, he found this necklace on the ground. Karuni is confused because someone who can perform magic wouldn't need to pick pockets, and Helmblitz adds that joining the Magic Academy can set someone up for life. Helmblitz concludes she might have stolen some magic accessories to cast spells, so Beryl decides to turn the necklace in as lost property. After handing it to the receptionist, Beryl heads out, but his mind is occupied with how the girl looked at him last night. Soon after, he comes across a board listing a rental property in the Central District, but it's too expensive for him. Just then, he sees a girl desperately looking for something and asks her if she lost a necklace by any chance. The girl immediately pounces on him and angrily demands it back, but he tells her to calm down because she's attracting a lot of attention. He then tells her he found it on the ground and handed it to the receptionist, which finally calms her down. He asks her if she stole it, and when she says no, he suggests they head back and claim it again. He tells her she'll get it back easily if he goes with her, so the girl reluctantly starts walking after him, but with a constant angry look on her face. He asks for her name to lighten the mood, but she tells him to mind his own business. He then calmly asks why she's acting like someone left a booger in her coffee, prompting the girl to look away in embarrassment. After he retrieves the necklace, she demands that he give it back to her right away, but Beryl suggests they talk first. Just then, Alucia joins them, and when he sees the necklace, she assumes Beryl is the P. Diddy of this world. They get together for tea, and the girl tells him she's the pickpocket he almost caught last night, but he can't do anything about it because he has no proof. Beryl says he has no such intentions and agrees to give the necklace back if she stops pickpocketing, but she says she will do what she needs to do to survive. Alucia is surprised at how bold she is, even in front of the Knight Commander, and offers her a place at the Magic Academy because she can use magic without accessories. Beryl seconds her, calmly stating that they know something is going on with her and they want to help her. She finally calms down and reveals that someone told her he would bring her sister back to life for 5 million coins, and since she doesn't have enough time or money, she has resorted to stealing. Beryl knows she's being tricked, but stays quiet because it's unwise to destroy her hopes. As Alucia excuses herself from the room, Beryl asks the girl to have some snacks, but she refuses and demands her necklace back. Just then, her tummy starts to growl, so Beryl leaves the room and returns with a piece of bread. After she's done eating, he politely asks for her name again, and she introduces herself and Miui. He then hands her the necklace, and she becomes happy as soon as she holds it. She then decides to leave, but Alicia brings Lucy into the room, who starts inspecting the girl. Lucy introduces herself as the commander of the magic corps, but when Miwi calls Cap, she demonstrates her fire magic to warm her tea. Afterward, she asks Miwi to join the magic corps, but Miwi angrily refuses, claiming she doesn't have time for that. When Lucy learns she is trying to revive her sister, she tells him this is not Fortnite with reboot fans. Miwi insists that she saw her sister come back to life for a moment, but Lucy insists that resurrection magic does not exist in this world. However, out of kindness, she promises Miwi that if this man is telling the truth, she will pay the 5 million herself to see it happen. Lucy then asks her to give up the name of this man, and she quietly whispers the name Twilight. Hearing this, Lucy immediately tells Alicia that she's leaving right now, but since the others stand out too much, she asks Beryl to join her. Soon after, Miwi guides them to the Dark Hand's hideout, and Lucy barges in through the front door like a final boss. She then walks through the guards to meet Twilight, leaving the weak guards in Beryl's care. In the basement, Lucy comes face to face with Twilight, and he demonstrates his 2 magic accessories, one for ice and fire magic, and the second for gravity, which he used to fool Miwi. After confirming his lies, she knocks him out in an instant, while Beryl beats the living bejesus out of the guards with only a wooden sword. Soon after, Lucy joins them and makes Twilight confess that there is no such thing as resurrection magic, which breaks Miwi's heart. After Lucy leaves, Miwi heads to the basement and sees that his sister's body is missing. She comes to terms with her loss, but she is upset that people took advantage of her. Beryl assures her that not everyone is bad and that he knows people who will take care of her, and this allows Miwi to warm up to him. That night, Lucy returns with her squad to arrest all of the Dark Hand, and even takes Miwi with her to the Magic Corp. But on the way, a mysterious man uses a magic spell to turn Twilight into a ticking time bomb. Later, the same man joins a bishop inside a church, and they prepare to perform a miracle on the dead bodies they have accumulated for a while. The next day after practice, Alicia asks Beryl to have a word with her in private and tells him that Twilight died while being transported. The driver explained that he started glowing until his body exploded, and the case is being investigated as they speak. The biggest concern is the missing bodies, but none of Twilight's men know about it. Beryl recalls how Twilight was carrying many accessories beyond his needs, which leads Beryl to believe that someone must be funding him. Later, he heads to Baldur's shop with Karuni to retrieve his new weapon, and she is excited to see him try it in battle. Beryl suggests they return to the training hall to test it, but they run into Lucy on the way, who wants to talk. Lucy takes him to her mansion, where they meet an old man named Ibroy, a priest from the neighboring country. When Beryl questions why he's here, Lucy tells him that all the accessories Twilight was wearing originated from Ibroy's country. Ibroy reveals that Twilight was funded by a bishop named Revios, who wanted him to collect dead bodies. Lucy believes Twilight was off using a remote control accessory to keep him quiet, and Beryl questions what a bishop has to do with dead bodies. Ibroy explains that he's trying to perform the miracle of Speen, and it is the resurrection of the dead. Ibroy believes this miracle is just a myth, but he cannot say this in front of his followers. Revios is using their faith as a shield to research dead bodies, and it's not easy to stop him. He also reveals that Revios is currently in the country, and Lucy adds that they must stop him now because once he leaves, it's out of their hands. Ibroy asks Beryl for his help in catching the bishop, and Lucy explains that the magic courts cannot take action because of political issues. Since Beryl has no ties with any corporation, he can act as a free agent and help them put a stop to Revios' agenda. Despite hesitating at first, Beryl realizes that this mission will allow her to retrieve the body of Miwi's sister, and giving her a proper burial will allow her to mourn and move forward. Because of that, Beryl agrees to do it, and while sending him off, Lucy promises to pay him handsomely. At the front door, he runs into Miwi, who now looks like an ordinary person, and she avoids eye contact with him. She asks why he's come here, but Beryl simply says she looks nice. She cannot understand why he's so kind to her and starts throwing a tantrum. Beryl understands that she finds it hard to trust people after what happened to her, so he assures her that she is safe here. He advises her to work hard because there is a bright future ahead of her, and if she ever feels like paying him back, she can treat him to a nice dinner later. His words touch her heart, but she still acts like a stubborn brat because she's not used to kindness. That night, a new set of bodies arrives at the Speen church, and Beryl watches from a distance, ready to arrest the bishop. However, he runs into Spur, the man who put an end to Twilight, and Spur tells his guards to seize Beryl. The guards then perform a miracle that buffs their speed and strength, putting Beryl in a life-and-death situation. With no other choice, he starts attacking the guards and realizes that his Baldur did a fantastic job with his new sword. The guards then try to attack him from all four sides, but Feis and Karuni suddenly arrive to aid him. He asks why they are here, and they tell him they were just passing by and saw a commotion. With their arrival, the guards are easily defeated, but when more of them show up, they tell Beryl to go on without them. Beryl then enters the church where Revios is performing the miracle, and Spurs steps up to defend him. Just then, the dead wake up, and Beryl sees the one who looks like Mui, confirming that she's her sister. He also notices that the dead have turned into mindless zombies, and he has no choice but to take them all out. After defeating all of them, he is left down to Mui's sister, and he embraces her, apologizing to her before taking her out as well. Her body incinerates in his arms, leaving him with her necklace and tears in his eyes. Before he can process it all, Spur uses magic to enhance his speed and starts attacking him, and he's so strong that he even manages to land a hit on Beryl. When Beryl fights back, Spur stabs his own arm with a dagger, and that makes him so incredibly strong that Beryl can't even parry a single attack. Despite being cut several times, he keeps his composure and somehow manages to find an opening, allowing him to strike Spur's chest. Wheezing in pain, Spur continues to fight, but he starts losing control of his body as if something is possessing him. Beryl asks him to stop or he will die, but Spur continues to push himself until his body finally gives up, and he drops dead at Beryl's feet. When Beryl goes outside, he sees that Karuni and Feis have already apprehended Revios. He asks the bishop why he's doing something so immoral, and Revios says his country will be doomed if he doesn't find a way to make the church stronger. The next day, he shares the news with Lucy, but he's still sad because he couldn't help Mui's sister. To ease his mind, Lucy takes him to a beautiful house and tells him it's his reward for completing the mission. Stepping inside, he sees Muid brooming, and Lucy tells him she will be living here with him from now on. She further explains that Lucy needs approval from a guardian to join the academy, so she asks Beryl to adopt her at least on paper. Despite hesitating at first, he sees that Mui is open to the idea, so he decides to go for it. A few days later, Beryl is making breakfast for himself and admits that he is still not used to owning a house in the capital. After he sets the table up, Mui joins him, and they sit awkwardly in silence. Beryl is dying to get his sausage tasted and tries to make small talk with her, but she is not interested. He even offers to wash his clothes, hoping he can stiff her plot armor, but she strictly tells him not to. Beryl realizes he's coming off too strong and shuts up, noting that Mui is trying to keep her distance from him. She then hesitantly asks him if she can use the bathroom, and Beryl tells her she doesn't need to ask him, as this is her house too. Later, as they head to the market, Beryl thinks about how he's dealt with many young ones at the dojo, but Mui is quite different. To break the ice between them, he buys skewers, and Mui says they taste good with a stoic face, which makes him happy. He then takes her to the theater and asks if she's ever watched a play, and when she says no, he decides to take her inside. A few hours later, they exit the building, and he asks her what she thought of the play. Mui says the male lead was annoying and selfish, but other than that, it was pretty good. He is relieved that they now have something to talk about and believes she'll finally let him hit it from the back. The next day, he walks her to school, stating that he must be with her at all times because he is her guardian. Once they arrive at the academy, Beryl is shocked to see the sheer size of the building. He also sees some students casually casting spells, which fascinates him. Soon after, a teacher named Kinnara recognizes them and offers to show them around, which makes Mui nervous. She asks how they learned of this school, and Beryl says Lucy recommended it to them, and she is also the principal of this school. He also notices that the students are well-mannered here, which makes him wonder if Mui will fit in with these nerds. Later, Kinnara tells Mui that she will not be taking the aptitude test because Lucy has already finalized her admission, but she still needs to pick a magic major. She explains that each mage has some types of magic they are strong in, and Mui says she is only good with fire magic. Kinnara then explains that magic is divided into categories of offensive, defensive, healing, enhancing, and lifestyle magic. Fire magic falls under the offensive type, which will be the best for Mui. She also mentions that there is a dormitory for students and later takes them for a tour, and Mui is shocked to see how well maintained it is. On their way back, Beryl admits that the dorms are fancy and neat, but he worries that Mui will not be able to fit in with other students. He then asks if she would like to eat something, and she says anything is fine, confirming his worries that she won't last a day before they give her wedgies. He stops by a sausage store where he runs into Sharina, who asks him to join her. As they share a table, he thanks her for the new sword before introducing her to Mui. Cerny acts causally at first, but chokes on her drink when she learns they are living together. Once their food arrives, Sharina mentions that a special delegation from the neighboring country will visit soon, so she is extra busy with hunting monsters to ensure their safe arrival. Afterwards, Beryl asks her to give a pep talk to Miwe regarding her magic school, but she instead starts burdening her with expectations. After Miwe leaves, Sharina tells Beryl that the girl has exceptional talent, but her attitude needs a little fixing, which makes him wonder if she should live at the dorms or with an old geezer like him. He takes this issue to Alusha, who starts freaking out when she learns Beryl is living with another girl, but calms down when he learns he's her foster father instead of his sugar daddy. Just then, Karuni arrives and says living in the dorms will be the best because there will be no commuting time and she will get free meals. He worries she might not fit in with the other students, but Henblitz shows up and makes a point that it will allow Miwe to get out of her comfort zone. Alusha also suggests Miwe lives in the dorm, but it's mainly because she's jealous of another girl living with her master. That evening, he visits Lucy, who also recommends letting Miwe stay at the dorm. When Feist brings her a report, Lucy remembers she also lived in the dorms and says it will be good for Miwe because Feist is soon becoming a teacher here. Having heard everyone's opinion, Beryl still feels conflicted and abruptly leaves the room, making Lucy realize he is really worried about Miwe. After giving it more thought, he returns home, and Miwe tells him she's been hearing strange noises from the drawer. He listens in and realizes the noise is coming from the wall, so he moves the drawer and sees a mouse hole. When three Mikey rush out of it, he opens all the doors and windows and grabs a broom to chase them out. Miwe says it's no biggie because she saw a mouse every day when she lived in the slums, but he says he won't let her go back to living like that. He then runs around the house and manages to throw two of them out before moving to the final one. He finds it inside the bathtub and tries to catch it, but the rat moves too fast for him. Right before it gets away, Miwe uses her fire magic to scare it, allowing Beryl to catch it at the last second. After throwing the mouse out, he places a mouse repellent ball in front of the hole to ensure they don't return, and then heads to the kitchen to make dinner. Soon after, Miwe joins him and offers to help, and Beryl realizes he will miss her because he was getting used to having her around. That night, she says she will learn how to cook soon, but Beryl says she doesn't need to because the dorm provides free food. However, Miwe says she is not going to the dorms and is living here instead because no one will spoil her like he does. She doesn't want to be a burden to him, so she wants him to teach her a few things so she can be useful. She also jokes that he'll need her help in catching Mikey if they return, and when Beryl smiles, she teases him by calling him a creep. The next day, Alusha comes up to Beryl and tells him he has something important to discuss with him, and it will shape his future, which suddenly catches his attention. However, when she says it's about him shopping for new clothes, he realizes she's a freaking moron. She later mentions the delegation to the neighboring country that will soon visit. When he says Sharina already told her, she becomes jealous because she wanted to be the first one to tell him. She then adds that the Order of Knights will be in charge of protecting special guests, so she wants to be part of the security team and also meet royal families from both countries. Henblitz and Karuni are both excited because it will give Beryl a chance to get some royal shawties on his North Pole. Beryl is reluctant, but she reminds him that his position as the special instructor was approved by the king, so he must be there. After he hesitantly accepts, Henblitz and Karuni assure her that this is a yearly tradition, and they will ensure everything goes smoothly. Alusha then says he needs to stop dressing like a homeless New Yorker if he wants to meet the royal family, and he finally understands what she meant earlier. Henblitz and Karuni add that while a normal uniform will cover for normal nights like them, Beryl, on the other hand, needs something more appropriate. Beryl agrees to get a new fit later, but Alusha quickly shuts him down and tells him she will go with him. After she leaves, Karuni notes how Alusha was very forward with Beryl, and it makes her wonder if she wants to taste his sausage. Later, he returns home to find a box of dresses and a thank you letter from Ibroy for his help in dealing with the Revios issue. When he looks at the dress, he realizes it is for Miwe, but she says she doesn't like girly outfits. Later, as they have dinner together, he tells her that he'll be guarding the special guests at work soon, and he needs some formal clothes for the occasion. He mentions his plans to go shopping with Alusha and asks Miwe if she wants to join, but she turns him down. The next day, he meets Alusha in a cute dress and tells her she looks good, which immediately makes her cookie moist. While they go ahead, Karuni and Henblitz begin following them to see if something is going on between them. Soon after, they enter the store, and Beryl is overwhelmed by all the top-quality dresses on display. Alusha picks a frilly coat for him, but Beryl hesitates, knowing he will be permanently banned from Pound Town if he's seen wearing that fruity outfit. He refuses to try the one Alusha picked and instead spots a plain brown coat, which he thinks will suit him. Alusha asks the shopkeeper to hold it for them, and then suggests they look around a little more. Before that, though, Beryl suggests they grab something to eat, and she happily accepts. She takes him to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, where they are served an elegant meal, and Alusha copes by telling himself that she is on a date with him. Hendlitz and Karuni are watching in discretion, and note that they've never seen Alusha this happy and giggly before. After eating, they walk back home, and Beryl apologizes for making her go through so many stores when he just liked the one they picked at the first store. However, she recalls the time he promised to on lunch with her, and is just happy that he managed to do it after all these years. After they part ways, Alusha just watches him leave, so Hendlitz walks up to her and tells her he was spying on her. Alusha says it's fine because she wasn't trying to hide anything, so he asks her how she feels about Beryl. After a brief silence, she tells him she wants to make Beryl happy before walking away. The next day, Karuni apologizes to Hendlitz for running away, but he says it's fine, and he didn't tell Alusha that she was also stalking her. She then tells him she will need the training hall all to herself because she wants to challenge Beryl to a duel, and this will further help him get the recognition he deserves before he meets the royal family. Hendlitz asks if this is the only reason he's dueling him, so Alusha finally reveals that if he wins against Beryl, she will tell him how she feels. Soon after, Beryl enters the training hall, and she approaches him with a challenge, which he accepts. They both come face to face with each other, with everyone watching, and Beryl knows this will be a tough fight. Alusha then tells him she's called Lightning Fast Alusha on the battlefield before teleporting next to his face and striking him. Beryl barely dodges her attack, and she admits that this attack alone has ended most of her battles against her previous opponents. She then attacks him 3 times before backing up, and Beryl blocks them, although he knows he cannot keep up with her if this is prolonged. Thus, he tries to go on the offensive, but Alusha pushes him back with her own attacks, even managing to land a few hits on him. He then vows that he won't lose to her today because he knows she will use this loss to become even stronger, which is something he wants for her. Just then, Alusha almost disarms him and even makes him lose balance, and in that small pause, she tells him she's been meaning to show him her skills ever since she left his dojo. Hendlitz and Karuni watch in shock, both admitting that it looks like Alusha might win the match. Beryl also knows he won't be able to win by normal means, so Alusha rushes him down again. He parries her attack and waits for the perfect moment. He then grabs her cape and slams her down, and Hendlitz declares him the winner because there are no rules in a real fight. Beryl then tells her that her swordsmanship is perfect, but she must not expect others to play by her rules. She then thanks him for the lesson, and afterward, Hendlitz asks if she was really gonna confess if she had won. Alusha says she just wants to make him happy, but it does not matter if someone else does it as long as he is happy. That night, Beryl tells Mui about the match, and Mui claims Alusha might want all of his attention because she likes him. However, he tells her he's older than dirt while she's still under warranty, and he'd rather not test how fast the cops can spawn. Later, as he chugs down beer, she notices that her mug is chipped, and he says he dropped it while washing. He then asks Mui what she got in her bag, and she shows him her uniform and a book that she got on loan. Beryl believes she is all set for school, but then he recalls other girls wearing a proper school bag and asks if she has one. She tells him she didn't get any and would make do with her current one, but Beryl insists on getting her a new one. Meanwhile, Nidus and Majin meet up with Serena and give her a written request, explaining that some high-ranked adventurers found a wild horse in the capital and have cornered it in the forest. They haven't been able to take a decisive measure and want her to help, but Serena isn't sure if she can be of use here. On the other hand, Beryl heads to the bag shop, wondering what he should get for Mui, and the shopkeeper recommends some bags that look very similar to the ones he saw mages wearing. He picks one and decides to buy it, only to learn that the bag alone is worth more than his whole existence. Beryl freezes on the spot and wonders what to do next, but when he can't make a decision, he heads out and starts asking himself how he became a dad without ever getting laid. He is also conflicted between saving money and wanting to make Mui happy, only to be distracted when he runs into Serena. He asks her why she looks so worried, and she says she just picked up a tricky assignment that she doesn't know how to approach. She asks him to help her solve her problem, and when Beryl isn't sure, she pushes him to tag along. Together, they take a ride to the forest, and on the way, Serena tells him the horse has to be captured without any injury because it's a showpiece for the royal family. Once they reach the forest, the adventurers tell them they have set up traps everywhere, but the horse keeps avoiding them. As they head inside, Serena tells him they're looking for a white horse with a silver mane, and the job is so tricky that the guild had to call the experts on this. As they carefully surveyed the area, They eventually find the horse's footprints, but since it's purposely avoiding all traps, they decide to find a spring and catch it while it's drinking water. On the way, Sharina asks him what it's like to live with Mui, and he says he's still not used to it. She reminds him that he also took care of her 20 years ago, but he says that was different because he wasn't her legal guardian, and he had his parents' help. They eventually reach the spring, where Sharina tells Burin that she will fire an arrow from behind, and once the horse runs forward, that's when he will detain it. He worries the arrow will harm the horse, but Sharina has covered the tip with a cloth and will use it only to scare the horse. With that, they set up an ambush, and the horse comes to the spring soon after. Sharina slowly crawls to its back and fires an arrow, causing it to run towards Beryl. The horse jumps over him at first, so Beryl tries to go after it and control it by riding its back. When that fails, Sharina uses her lasso, but the horse cleverly dodges it and runs away. They go after it again, but this time, the horse jumps on a small cliff to avoid them. When the cliff starts sliding down, Beryl jumps after the horse, and it leaves them both stranded on top of the river. He manages to calm the horse down, but now he's facing the problem of how to find land and avoid the flowing river. He then uses his sword to slice the tree and make a bridge, but when his foot slips on it, the horse saves him from falling. They reach the other side, where Sharina comes running in, all out of breath, explaining that she circled around the river to get here. She is relieved to see that he's safe and also that he managed to tame the horse. Afterward, they return to the guild, where Nidus thanks him for the help and Sharina hands him a bag of coins as his payment. Afterward, Sharina suddenly mentions that she was jealous when he first moved in with Mui, but she has grown to like that girl. She also tells him there is a surprise waiting for him at home, and thinking he's getting a soul-snatching sloppy toppy, he immediately runs off like a true virgin. He then buys the bag with the money he earned and returns home, where he asks Mui to try it. She immediately likes it and thanks him for it. And when he asks where she was all day, she says she went out to buy him a new mug because he chipped his other one. She tells him she went to Sharina to look for a job, and after completing it, she used the money to buy a ceramic mug for him. She heard beer tastes better in a ceramic mug, so Beryl immediately chugs one down and starts crying because it indeed tastes better. The next day, after he drops Mui off at the carriage stop, he heads to the practice hall, where Karuni notices that he looks extra happy today. Before he can answer, Alucia shows up and tells him that the delegation from the Church of Sphene has arrived, and he wants her to join her in welcoming them. Beryl recalls how he destroyed Bishop Revio's plans earlier, and he was also affiliated with the Church of Sphene, so he agrees to go with her in hopes of catching them cooking up a new evil plan. Later, he ends up meeting another one of his students named Rose, and seeing her immediately makes Alucia angry. As Beryl recalls her time at the dojo, Rose starts cuddling up to him and calls him her beloved master, which makes things awkward. As they sit together, Rose reveals that she is the vice commander of the Holy Order, which impresses Beryl. Alucia then asks Master Gotoga what happened to their previous vice commander, but he says it's a long story. Hendlitz asks why they came here, and Gotoga explains it's because he wants Rose to get familiar with the capital. They say they will be staying for a few days, so Alucia decides to assign them a night as a tour guide. Rose then says she would love for Beryl to show them around, and while he nervously laughs, Alucia gives him a bombastic side eye. The next day after training, he runs into Rose outside the academy, and she suggests they go out so they can catch up. As he reluctantly tags along, she tells him she joined the Holy Order as soon as she left the dojo because he had told her to put her skills to good use. In reality, Commander Gotaga forced her to join when she just wanted to travel the world and hoe around like your mom. She adds that training at the dojo under his tutelage was the best time of her life, and even though she's the vice commander, she's just filling in the roles. As they continue through the bustling town, Rose says she almost wants to move here permanently. She then asks him if he would let her live with him if she moved here, but Beryl tells her that it won't be possible. Afterward, they part ways, and Beryl heads to the clothing store to buy the dress he had reserved the other day. He decides to wear them on his way back, and when he gets home, Mui looks at him but doesn't say anything. He gets nervous and asks if the dress isn't to her liking, but she casually says he's passable. He then gets changed before dinner, and Mui quietly mumbles that he looks best in his regular clothes. As he begins eating, he notes that Mui has gotten much better at cooking, and they then start talking about other things. Mui mentions how the school is too big for her, and the books are too thick to carry, and seeing him act so normal makes him feel happy. She also mentions that she's struggling to read certain books because she is not familiar with the letters, so she shyly asks him if he can teach her how to read. Soon after, the big day finally arrives, and Alucia briefs the whole night order on their duties, which involve providing security to royal families alongside the Holy Order. Beryl is clearly nervous about handling such a big responsibility, but he claims he'll face whatever happens like he's some budget Spike Spiegel. Soon after, Princess Salacia arrives in the city, and they all bow to greet her. Salacia is excited to finally see Beryl, because Alucia has already told her so much about him. Just then, the neighboring Prince Glenn shows up as well to greet the princess, and immediately starts rising her up, making Beryl wonder if they're breaking beds in secret. After they step on the carriage, Beryl is told to step into a different one to serve as bait, and Rose walks alongside his carriage to give him company. Soon after, the carriage stops, and Beryl learns that Salacia spotted a beautiful hair accessory that she saw in a shop here. After briefly stopping at the shop, Salacia and Glenn slowly walk back to the carriage, and Katoga asks the prince not to pull this stunt again, because it is not safe. Just then, Beryl spots someone sussing the crowd, but before he can process it, the person vanishes, which leaves Beryl on high alert. Later, while the royals are having lunch, Beryl approaches Alucia to let her know he felt something odd outside the jewelry store, so she sends Henblitz to increase the guard. Later, as Salacia and Glenn are addressing the crowd, 3 assassins jump out and start running towards them. While the other guards go after them, Beryl notices that these ones are just decoys, while the real assassins are descending from the ropes. Alucia immediately asks the guards to take the royals inside, and soon after, the assassins cover the entire area with smoothies. Beryl once again notices that the blades are poisoned, and this leads to an epic fight between him and one of the assassins as he tries his best not to get hit at all. After he takes his opponent down, Henblitz finds himself in an odd situation where his opponent continues to hide behind the smoke and run circles around him. However, Henblitz closes his eyes and uses his sense of hearing, which allows him to pinpoint the assassin and take him out. Alucia is also fighting one of the assassins, and when he tries to topple her using her cape, she quickly counters him and leaves a cut on his leg. After that, she slices the man down, and the fight then moves to Katoga, who fails to keep the assassin in check, allowing the man to run away. And lastly, Rose ends up unaliving the last guy, and Beryl witnesses this, noting how Rose has changed her fighting style a lot. With the smoke fading, they try to question the ones they caught alive, but all of them bite on a poisonous capsule and flatline themselves, leaving them in shock. After cleaning up the mess, they move the royals to a safer location, but Alucia is frustrated because she was unable to question the assassins. She also mentions that a few assassins managed to slip away, and Beryl believes the tour might be cancelled after this. Later, Alucia informs him that Salacia and Glenn are now safe in the royal palace, and the guard has been increased around the city. Katoga and Alucia have to report to the higher-ups, so they ask Beryl and Rose to go on without them. Beryl assumes Rose will use this change to bounce on his joystick, but Rose just leaves on his own, much to his surprise. Beryl then returns home to find Miwe hanging out with Lucy in the dining hall. Lucy says she heard about the attack on Salacia and came to inquire about it. Beryl then asks Lucy why the magic corpse wasn't part of the security team, and she says they had to stay behind the scenes. When he asks why, Miwe suddenly excuses herself because she doesn't want to be part of this snooze fest. After she leaves, Lucy praises her manners, knowing that Lucy wanted to give them privacy to discuss personal matters. Lucy then reveals that their neighboring country believes the magic comes from God's blessing, so if non-believers like them were to use it as well, it wouldn't make them feel any better about their faith. She also believes that the people who attacked today were also from the neighboring country, and they're bringing their civil conflict into international land. Beryl wonders how she made that conclusion, and she says he got this news from Ibroy, who explains that their nation was in a struggle for power between papists and royalists. She then explains that the Pope is at the top of the power pyramid, and since the king is also a follower of Spain, he cannot ignore the Pope's opinion. However, the Pope himself is appointed by the parliament that the king forms, and the attack on the royalties is proof that the papists want to be the only authority in the country. Beryl says the royalties can just replace Glenn with another prince, so Lucy reveals that their second prince is already a puppet to the church, and if he became king, the papists would have all the power. Later, Alucia runs into Rose at the academy, who asks her how things are going. Alucia says they have increased security, but the higher-ups might just cancel the tour. Rose then asks Alucia about the agricultural district, which is the route they will cover tomorrow if the tour continues, but Alucia refuses to share any details and urges her to talk to Katoga. However, Rose believes it is essential for her to be familiar with the area so she can be more proactive tomorrow, so she convinces Rose to join her in a cave. After they are done with the specifics, Alucia wishes to leave, but Rose insists she stays so they can talk about Beryl. As Alucia sits down again, Rose mentions that she was traveling 6 years ago when she came across Beryl in a small village and decided to stay there for a while. She then asks Alucia to share her story of how she met Beryl, and Alucia immediately starts blushing while saying it was a long time ago. Rose eagerly asks how Beryl was like when he still had juice in his coconuts, and Alucia tells him he would always praise her even on the smallest accomplishments. By watching him carefully, she managed to imitate his technique, so he told her it was time for her to graduate. She cried when it was time to say goodbye, but she left because she had too much respect for him. Seeing her go red makes Rose realize Alucia really likes Beryl, and they both agree that he hasn't changed much over the years. While they are talking, Rose spots a lost idiot on the street, and Rose learns that he got separated from his mother just a few minutes ago. Rose then expertly handles the idiot and asks him what his mom looked like, which impresses Alucia. But instead of looking quietly, she starts shouting for the boy's mother, much to Alucia's embarrassment. Meanwhile, Beryl tells Lucy that he fought a papist once before too, and just like today, he unalived himself when he was sure of his defeat. However, Lucy is certain there will be more attacks because the papists won't give up after just one failure. Beryl believes it will be fine if the tour is cancelled, but Lucy knows it won't be that simple. Just then, Mio returns with a bag of groceries, and Lucy decides to continue this some other time. On the other hand, Alucia and Rose help the boy reunite with his mother, and Rose says she is good with young ones because her parents often donated to orphans. The next day, Alucia breaks the news that the tour will continue, which comes as a shock to Beryl. He asks Alucia to explain herself, and she says Glenn himself insisted on it, and even got approval from both countries. As they get on the carriage, Beryl realizes that if Glenn had cancelled the tour, it would have ruined his chances of becoming the next king. As the tour continues, Gatoga suddenly stops Beryl and tells him that the perpetrator of the attack is his former vice commander, Hinnis, but Beryl already knew from how he reacted yesterday. The carriage then goes across the wheat fields with the best of the knights as escort. Glenn then asks to stop the carriage so Salaship can see the fields up close and asks Gatoga to keep the princess safe at all costs. As they step into the fields like they had originally planned, Beryl surveys the area and concludes that there is no place for the enemy to hide. Just then, an arrow hurls past Glenn's face, and everyone quickly surrounds him from all sides to protect him. Turns out, the assassins were hiding inside the crops with bows, which forces the guard to deflect the arrows using swords. As more of them close in with swords, Beryl finally locks the fin and faces them head-on, slicing them down for the first time ever. Despite single-handedly taking down dozens of them, he still finds himself overwhelmed, so he sends Gatoga to take down the archers. Once the attack stops, Beryl tells Alucia to take the royalties out of here as soon as possible, while he stays back to thin out more attackers. In reality, he knows Rose is secretly working with the enemy, so he meets her inside the forest so they can have a fair duel. She asked him how he knew about it, and he says it started when he saw her eliminate her own allies when she could have easily held back. She was also missing in the attack that happened just now, so he was wondering why she let the assassins through. He asks if she is against Glenn ascending the throne, but Rose says she is tired of her nation fighting for power and wants to purge it completely. Beryl says he's an old country bumpkin who knows nothing about politics, but he still can't turn his back on his former student who has strayed onto the wrong path. He says he taught her to protect people with the sword, and she argues she's doing this to protect people as well. She reminds him he's also unalived people to get here, but he says ending assassins trying to end the prince is not the same. She says she is trying to unify the country so the young ones don't die of cold and hunger. At least, that is what the Pope said. Beryl says the young ones wouldn't want her to spill blood, but Rose has had enough yapping and suggests they settle it with the sword. Meanwhile, Henblitz, Alucia, and Karuni are still fighting the assassins, and just when they get the upper hand, the assassins suddenly use physical buff magic to turn the tide. With Alucia hyping them up, they gather their strength and manage to level the playing field. They wonder if Beryl can manage on their own, but Alucia suggests they focus on the front line. Back in the forest, Rose starts attacking Beryl, but he stays back and continues dodging. He asks her to stop this and come to reason, but she says she can't because the Pope has held the orphans hostage and will execute them. The look on Beryl's face changes, and he claims that he is enraged at the people who forced her into this situation. He then declares that he will fight her for real this time, and they begin clashing again. Rose is impressed that he knows how to fight against someone with a shield. He then takes a moment to analyze all the weak spots before they start fighting, and Beryl even lets her cut him a few times before he parries her. He then slashes his sword on her chest, and blood starts spilling on her juicy twin towers. As she drops to her knees, she jokingly says that he played unfairly, and Beryl explains that he knew he couldn't take her out with multiple attacks, so he had to finish it in a single blow. She then admits she would have lost even if he played fair, because he is way too strong, and Beryl says she has improved so much ever since she left the dojo. She then wishes to die at his hands, but he says she must live and atone for her sins. He also says he failed to teach her a few important lessons. And just then, Kitoga comes running in, unaware that Rose has sided with the Papists. He immediately steps in to heal her wound, and Beryl tells him that Alucia took away Glenn and Salacia. He then asks how Rose was injured, and Beryl admits he's the one who cut her down. He also explains that the Pope forced her to side with him by keeping the orphans hostage, and all of his followers are willing to die for the cause. Kitoga understands where she comes from and decides to go with a fake story that Rose was hurt by one of the assassins. Also, her cover isn't blown, which will buy them time to rescue the orphans. Beryl asks why he's going so far for Rose, and he says she's practically a sister to him. When asked which side he is on, Kitoga says he is neutral, but now he's leaning towards the prince. Rose says the royal family is also evil because they convicted Revios on false charges, and Kitoga explains that Revios was accused of interpreting the scriptures to suit himself. That's when Beryl exposes that Revios was involved in trading dead bodies to perform resurrection, and Rose finally realizes she has been lied to this entire time. Beryl then asks her not to waste her skills and use her sword to protect others, and Rose tears up, promising to atone for her sins. She also promises to repay him with a sloppy toppy from heaven, but he tells her not to bother with it because it's his job to help his students. Just then, Karuni and the others finally take out the last assassin, but Alucia still refuses to drop her guard. When Beryl finally shows up, they collectively thank him for protecting their rear, because they would surely lost if it weren't for him. He then tells her that all the assassins are dealt with, but Rose was seriously injured, and she's been transported to the hospital as they speak. He then assures them that she will be okay, after which Alucia collects everyone so they can head back safely. The next day, Alucia informs them that all the mess was cleaned up. The farmers will be given compensation for the damaged crops. Just then, a knight brings a letter for Alucia from the royal palace, and she is invited to a banquet where she will be praised for her efforts. Beryl tells her that she must go, only for her to reveal that he is also invited. Henblitz and Karuni insist he goes too, but when he asks if he can decline it, they playfully tell him he will be executed. Lucy and Feis mention the invitation over tea, and they both agree that Beryl doesn't even know his own potential. Meanwhile, Sharina is leaving town for a job and won't be here for his big day, but vows to celebrate once she returns. Soon after, Beryl heads to the banquet, but he is extremely nervous as opposed unlike Alucia. Just then, King Gladio enters the hall with Salacia, and she personally thanks him for inviting them. However, Gladio says he's the one who should be thanking them because they protected his daughter twice from being assassinated. A waiter brings fish and wine to Beryl, and although he is more of a beer person, he tastes it for the first time and immediately falls in love with it. Salacia then tells her father that Beryl was a total badass yesterday and defeated waves of assassins like a final boss. Hearing this, the king reveals that Salacia is soon to be married to Prince Glenn, but since that country has a power struggle, he's created a special royal guard for his daughter. He offers Beryl a position as Salacia's personal guard, and Beryl freezes while thinking of how to say no. Alucia speaks on his behalf, saying that Beryl's skills are crucial to developing an elite knighthood order. The king calls Beryl a master swordsman, and agrees that he should stay here, and Beryl notices that Alucia has tears in her eyes because the king himself called her teacher a master swordsman. That night, Beryl receives a pretty glass plate as a gift for his contributions, but he decides not to use it. He then enjoys a warm soup with Mui, and they both discuss how much their lives have changed ever since they met each other. Over shared experiences, they warm up to each other and end the night on a good laugh. Will Alucia ever confess her feelings to Beryl, or will he die a virgin like you guys? Let us know in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more awesome recaps.